you know, all these years in video production, it's not about creativity. It's all about process. Process, it's a process, it's a process. That's it. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of young blood that's kind of coming up now forgets that having a kick-ass camera is not the key here. It's about building process that provides sustainability in the long term so that you can continually get into the flow of video marketing and do great things for your business.
Today, you are in for a magical treat. If you're watching on YouTube, you're extremely lucky because you get to see my handsome guest. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcast or Spotify, find the video somewhere because this is all about video and we're going to have a great time. My guest today is Chris Schwager, although I like to call him Schwager because it sounds so sounds so hip. Chris Schwager, who is the video marketing specialist from Google's highest rated video company in Australia. It's called Ridge Films, and he is here to tell us all about the power of video. And I've been saying this for the longest time, Chris, that if you are an entrepreneur, if you have a podcast, if you have a business of any sort, you need to get on video.
Thank you so much, Christine.
I'm saying that you're here in Australia. Why don't you give the folks a little bit of an idea of where you're at, where you're located. And as I'm watching on the video here, you have a beautiful set. I have just a white wall, but you have this absolutely beautiful set there. Where are you exactly in Australia?
Well, it's a funny story, isn't it? I'm in Marrickville, little suburb in Sydney, Australia. And where I am right now is a master bedroom of a townhouse unit. And it's so interesting because I think a lot of video production companies are fixated on the big studio and the makeup room and all this other stuff. We do it in this very tight space. And it's interesting how much you can achieve and economize on in terms of space in such a little area as this. So we had the big studio years ago, and then the last 10 years we've been here and doing some amazing stuff. We've had billion-dollar companies come through here, and it's like, is it okay that you're like coming to my house here? And they're like, yeah, fine. It's all just perfect. It's great. I've got an ensuite behind me. I got a walk-in wardrobe, so people are, we have no reason to leave, really.
You have a pantry full of snacks.
Well, I don't. It's a food-free zone. No. Look, we do stuff very comfortably here. It's, for the size space that we have, we can pretty much film people, roughly half body up. We have a couple of people on camera together. But what I'm doing is presenting from my desk, and the studio is actually behind me. So we've effectively got two studios in the one room. I use this for podcasting and video calls and all sorts of other stuff. And behind me is where we actually film our clients because we can drop in backgrounds and do some amazing things. And
let's talk about, the work that Ridge Films has done. I've checked out your work. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. But let's talk about the power of videos. As far as marketing is concerned, promotion, publicity, just letting potential customers and clients know what the heck you do. Talk about how important creating videos are, and particular in this time right now with our attention span being that of a gnat. The power of video, I think, is quite important, don't you think?
Oh, 100%. We wouldn't have been in business for 20 years if we'd not believed in its power. It's not so much about the creation of content that's been kept us enthusiastic. It's been very much about how we help businesses achieve, I guess, and it sounds a bit corny, but achieve their goals, achieve their ambition to be better business operators. And, that is not back, when we started Ridge Films, it was all about the polished corporate video. And it was all, very expensive exercise, and there was moving parts and there was hardware, and it was just, it was a completely different environment to what it is now. And in the last 10 years, really, technology has kind of crushed the pricing of what we do in the business. And with the inventions, DSLR video camera, as well as Mac laptops and affordability around editing software, and the golden goose, the iPhone, which is if you've got an iPhone in your pocket, you're a video producer. Give yourself a hand. It's a rewarding rewarding thing to have that power. And what we realized in our journey over the last 6 or 7 years has been that just because they have that power in their pocket doesn't mean they know how to execute on it and how to extend, life of content and leverage people and draw people closer to their business. So there's a real pain point in the market that extends beyond producing content. It's very much like all the 1%ers that make up a video are totally underestimated. And once people go down the track of trying to buy a ring light and a tripod and whatever, and realize that it's actually a lot more work than they first thought, then they find it's too hard, and then it becomes a huge pain and the equipment ends up dusty in the garage, right? What we're trying to do is remove them from a lot of that pain and process that they would otherwise have to build on their own and fill in the gaps. Absolutely.
Well, and here's the thing: there's it takes a certain person to know. There's like an audio engineer, right? There's what we call the ears in the industry. I worked in radio for 20 years, and it's having a certain ear mind. In other words, knowing when to edit, knowing what to edit, knowing what sounds good, knowing a pause, knowing the power of a pause. The same with audio. When it goes to video, it is 10 times more. I mean, it is so powerful because you're talking about something that people are actually looking at you. And when I talk to anybody that I coach in podcasting, and I say, I'll show you how to be a great podcaster. I'll show you the technical stuff of being a podcaster. I said, but if you don't have the video element, you're missing out on such a huge audience, because right now people are watching videos on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, hello, TikTok, hello. There's things that are becoming viral because they're funny or inspirational, but really you can communicate some of your best messages through video. And the power of that, I think, can really absolutely change people's businesses completely, because that's how people are going to gain trust with you. If they're looking in your eyes, you see, they got to look in your eyes and know that you're not a shisty little, shifty.
Yeah.
Shifty person.
Faces in the buying process, right? The buying decision process. It was funny. I played my daughter's a video that I produced over the weekend on SodaStream hacks, and it was just a little pet project that I decided to do with my kids, right? And the first part of the video was me, much like this, talking down the barrel, very, very intimate, very close. And then the second part of the video was me demonstrating how to install this thing, and it was kind of more off camera and more of a voiceover, right? Pretty much at the point where it started to go off camera, my kids phased out. They got distracted. They looked around. They started to lose interest. And maybe because it's highly technical stuff around like how to connect your SodaStream bottle or whatever it was. But also I think there's a big part of that is they're losing that facial contact. They're losing something to latch onto, and it's the eyes, the mouth, and the face is very much the hero of the visuals in pretty much any of our videos that we produce. We just realize how important that was to first of all, have the face out there, but for so many businesses to put the face out into their market. So for instance, like websites are the biggest sort of like digital brochure you can find. And when they first came out, nobody had faces on there. It was like text and stock images, and over time, people are starting to, get to understand that people buy from people, and that there's a huge advantage to having somebody guide and nurture and Sherpa you through their product, service, brand, website, whatever it is. So, but yeah, faces, massive, massive thing. And we make sure that faces are in every one of our professional videos.
There's different types of videos, obviously. There's your commercial type videos that you're going to be posting on social media, paid ads, same thing, or on YouTube as well. But let's give our audience a little bit of an idea of all the different kinds of videos that I know there's right now my brain is just going, as branding promotional videos, there's how-to videos, right?
Yes.
there's so many that we can talk about. Even the profile on your like Facebook, there's a little tiny video. You can put a little tiny video in there. But tell our listeners and our viewers about just some of the videos that they can be creating to enhance their business and their presence online.
Yeah, well, if you don't mind, Christine, what I'll do is I'll go back a little bit, because we believe that video doesn't start with type or duration or creativity or, how many cameras we should be shooting. We avoid the tech in those early conversations with our customers, and we get them to understand why is it in the first place that they need video? What are the marketing problems, the business problems that they're faced with that warrants having a video? Like, why wouldn't they just go and hire another staff member or, put in a digital brochure or whatever it might be, right? So the clients come to a very quick understanding that this starts with the overarching challenge that from that derives the goal in which they're using video to achieve something. And it's now not one video fits all and everything. It's not about the 3 to 5 minute video anymore. That kind of concept for inbound video marketing is pretty much dead, and you need to be starting to think about micro touch points of video communication to address specific needs of the customer or the client or whatever particular situation you're trying to combat. So for instance, an example might be that if somebody does makes an inquiry, the receptionist picks up the phone, she takes the basic details, for instance, email, phone number, and says, I'll have Jimmy call you back. But in the meantime, what I'll send you is a little video, and it's our company profile video, and that'll demonstrate to you our capabilities, and it'll help you understand what we are all about. Just have a look out for that, and when you meet, you'll be more familiar with what it is that we do and all of the products and services that we actually offer here. So, the video is not just about having it on your website or having it on your YouTube channel. It's constantly advocating and remarketing the content, marketing your video marketing. It sounds a bit weird, but that's important, right? It's if you don't tell people that you've made a video, then they'll never know, and you'll come back from your YouTube channel in 2 years' time and realize it's only 13 views because you never talked about it. Your internal team did not know about it. Your sales guys were not using it within their processes. So now I've got that preamble out of the way. Let me give you the 3 different areas that basically make up. And there's probably, marketers have different versions of this, but it's effectively videos for awareness, videos to educate your audience, or videos to convert them faster. Now, you could talk about retention and other areas of the buyer's journey or the sales process, if you like, but those 3 are the divisions effectively of our content. So for instance, if a client is struggling to get brand awareness, then we need to focus on some brand awareness content. So company profile videos, for instance, high selling product of ours, they demonstrate the capabilities of your organization under 90 seconds long. They basically do everything. They don't go deep into product or service. Then you're not going to get customer testimonials in that video. It's nice and tight, nice and manageable, right? Because you don't want to unveil the entire story of your business, right? That's going to eventually put them to sleep, right? They're going to tune out because it won't be as relevant to them. But if you serve that up, or if you have, that's perfect placement is on your homepage, for instance, it's a perfect placement for somebody to get to know your business because they have an understanding of your capabilities first. And then when they start to inquire, then you start to deliver the product or service videos. And then when you're trying to then close the deal, you want to serve up the customer testimonials, the case study videos, those types of content. And then you've got this sort of like McDonald's Happy Meal of content that's, burger, fries, and Coke of video marketing that should satisfy their need. And then it's not just one big fat video that you're trying to serve up in one hit, but it's all these areas of touch points that will hopefully convince and convert them faster because they'll feel well looked after.
You touched on something that was really important, and I tried to encourage this with so many people, is that longer, bigger is not better. It's the same thing with copy on a website. I get crazy when I go to somebody's website and it's like a mile long of copy and a stock photo here, a stock photo there, but it's just like it just turns me off completely because I'm not getting anything else out of it. You know what I'm saying? But and especially when there's like testimonials or reviews,
Yes.
like that, I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, no. First of all, if I
Yes.
read it,
Yes.
it could be fake. It could be fake.
Yes.
But
Yes.
when I see a video testimonial of someone who actually experienced the product or the service, and they're looking at the camera and they're saying, I just tried Christine's, amazing podcast course, and wow, my life has changed for the better. I've lost 5 pounds as well. When I see that, then it's more believable. Absolutely more believable than just reading it on a text. But the idea is sometimes people think that you got to go really long and really explain a bunch of stuff. No, that's not the case.
Yes. Well, that's the craft of the interviewer asking the right questions and the editor not doubling up on a lot of the content, right? So we have a huge belief that video testimonials are typically done very poorly. For instance, if you're thinking as a business that, oh, look, I've just done that job for Jimmy and he's just about to leave the office, maybe I'll pull out my iPhone, just see if you can just say something for a couple of minutes, right? So Jimmy says, oh, they were great, the best product, they turned up on time, the budget, they came under budget, it was just perfect. That's not interesting, right? That's boring as batshit, and so the whole process of understanding what Jimmy could have said. He could have gone deep, right? But Jimmy was on the spot. So Jimmy didn't know what the hell was going on, right? So there's a whole, with our testimonials and case studies, there's scripting that goes deep, you know what I mean? We understand what the unique proposition of the business is and how that experience that the particular person has had is impacted them, and, what the uniqueness of the organization is. Not just frivolous kind of hairy-fairy sort of stuff, but really going into, analogies and stories to be able to tell it better. Do you know what I mean? And distance themselves from the stereotypes of, best service and best product. No, it's not. It's not until people actually go through the process themselves. It's hearsay until somebody goes. As
a layperson, right? As someone who went through the process of working with you or your company, can explain what it was like and how it benefited them and why it can benefit other people. I think that's absolutely important.
So in scripting, it's not like, okay, well, we just want to make sure Jimmy said, Jimmy's one of our A-class customers, and, ticking off the sort of like, easy sort of, hey, best service, personalized service, one-stop shop, all those cliches, right? They're horrible, right? But actually looking at what the business is actually putting out to the market from their own, say if they hit the website and they've got some really good, strong, unique propositions, we want Jimmy saying that shit. And we want him saying it in his own voice, and his own story. But it's a perfect thing for Jimmy to be talking about, right? To be ticking off those things because they align to the greater purpose of the organization, right? They back up and support the whole purpose of the business. It's kind of like mission-based marketing. It's kind of like this tying it all in. So Jimmy's not the Wild West anymore. Jimmy's actually got a purpose, and it's through the types of questions that an interviewer would ask them that would then warrant that response, would get that best response. And if you know what outcome that you're looking for when you're going into that interview, you can go tick, 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 tick. And he hasn't said it exactly as I've got it here in my bullet point, but he's said it. He said it in his own voice.
And then when you have others, so it's not just that one video testimonial, because that's kind of questionable, but when you have others and you've got the male, the female, the young, the old, all the different, but it's uniform a bit in their responses, you can make multiple videos out of that, right? You can make multiple 100%. Testimonials exactly out of that.
Yeah, it's what we call a company testimonial. And look, just so that you guys can get a visual on what we're talking about here, and I just so that you have a reference, go to ridgefilms.com.au/store, and our whole product gallery is here, and there's about 30 different types of videos. And so if you scroll through there, you can watch as much as you like, right? But the company testimonial video is, again, one of the biggest sellers. So it is actually up the top of the page. But it shows you this combination of some of the heroes, I guess, of hero clients, so, and, we don't sort of say to our clients, well, just go and pick anyone off the street, like pick the person that actually looks like the person you're trying to attract, right? So if the demographic's 25 to 35s females, then make sure you interview a 25 to 35 female. Like, it makes sense, but a lot of people miss that and don't understand that very well. Because as a buyer, as a potential buyer, I'm watching this video and trying to frame myself and put myself in their shoes.
You're trying to relate. Exactly.
100%. So if I come across someone in a video that looks and sounds like me and is like me, then maybe I'm going to have that similar experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, we want to see. That's why also when it comes to content, video content, and commercials, they're going more for real people as well. They're not going for the actors to play a mechanic. They're actually looking for mechanics to play mechanics.
Yeah, 100%.
Because we tend to buy from people that we can relate to.
Yes.
We recognize, what the familiar, so to speak.
Oh, the nuances of people talking. Like, there's a lot of people like, oh, but Jimmy won't be able to string two words together, and you go on set and you talk to the interviewee and they're like, oh, I'm really nervous. Oh, I'm shitting myself. You just start talking to them. And I've got my agenda because I've got a script, right? I'm working from that. But it's my job as an interviewer to help them come up with those beautiful one-liners. And ultimately, the whole thing is based on sound bites anyway. So, and then it's down to the editor to make all that sound cohesive and beautiful. All these years in video production, and it's not about creativity. It's all about process. It's process, it's a process, it's a process. That's it. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of young blood that's kind of coming up now forgets that, that having a kick-ass camera is not the key here. It's about building process that provides sustainability in the long term so that you can continually get into the flow of video marketing and do great things for your business.
And have that consistency as well. That's I think where people find it difficult is to have that consistent video presence, right? On their website, on social media, on the different platforms. I think that's something that's difficult for them because it's not like you just, I'm just going to create a video,
Yes.
Sometimes you can. I do that from time to time when I'm doing reels on Instagram. I'm just like, I'm just going to do a silly video. But when we're talking about something that's going to represent your business or potentially reach customers and clients, you want to make sure that you do it right.
We'll be back in a short moment. Video is everything. And because the world is now demanding that you appear on camera in some fashion, it's time to get the skills of a professional presenter. Go to ridgefilms.com.au/DIY because do-it-yourself videos should be easy and they should work. The DIY video program helps you personalize sales, produce video emails, and record videos regularly without the tech hassles. Look and sound amazing in every video meeting. Go to ridgefilms.com.au/DIY.
When I'm talking to people who want to get booked on podcasts and radio shows, because as for 20 years, I was a radio host and producer, and I got lots of pitches. I got lots of emails, tons of emails. I want to be on your show. My client should be on your show because of blah, 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 blah. They wrote a book, blah, 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 blah. And it's just all text, right? So it's very dry, very generic. Yeah. And it's usually, delete, 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 delete. And I had one gentleman who actually now is a dear friend of mine, and we've done lots of co-ventures. I've had him on the radio several times and on podcasts several times. He's a marketing genius, really, really smart. He one time sent me an email, but it was very little words, and there was a video. It was a video link. And I clicked on that video link, and it was a message directly to me.
Yes.
And it was short, and it was sweet, but I got to see his personality. I got to feel his energy, his presence. And I said, oh my God, I love this guy. Whereas in an email, you can't fully get the style of a person or the energy of that person. But in a video, especially when they're talking directly to you, you feel it. So since that moment, I've been doing it too for quite a few different resources as well. When I want to get somebody's attention, if I want to be on somebody's stage or, a guest speaker on something, I'll send them a very short, quick video. And it's amazing the response that you get because they're not used to it. They're used to just getting the same old emails. Have you done that? Have you done?
Every day of the week. Every day of the week. No, I'm serious. Every day of the week. It's not, I'm not lying. I mean, we had to evolve out of this kind of like, oh, it's all about professional video production. And if you're not doing professional stuff, like you're dead shit, like go stick to your iPhone. Like we need to embrace it. COVID was the biggest eye opener for us and the biggest opportunity for us to leverage video in a crazy way because overnight, businesses needed to convert into an online video format, right? And so we saw all types of technical issues through that period. Participants with their camera off, noisy interruptions, poor background and space, camera angles, webcam quality, internet speed was horrible. And then performance issues made it even worse, right? So COVID caught everyone off guard. Now video is everything, but at the time, it was all about on-camera confidence and people just being thrown into meetings and all of a sudden having to try and string two words together and look presentable. So a lot of the lack of preparation and effort was the reason why it sucks and why so many people that we surveyed was saying, it's got so much room for improvement, so much opportunity to do better. Casual wardrobe was another thing on my little list that I've just read out here. But what was interesting was the birthing of this concept that we could, take all of the pain and suffering of people in the world of video. So price point's too high. How do I get it going? Do I need a full-on strategy? Why wouldn't I just use my iPhone? And but I used my iPhone and it didn't work and I couldn't edit it and, all of those things. And just ripped them out from people and said, look, we're going to provide an easier, streamlined solution for you that's going to remove all those things. And we're going to just give you the, camera techniques and some basic technical capability. But after that, don't worry. Let us take care of everything else, So script templates and, what video should go where and how to get video in sales emails and how to put video in InMail and things like that. So in answer to your question, we were hitting high profile guests for our show via LinkedIn using personalized video InMails or videos uploaded to InMail within LinkedIn. So we've been doing that for a while and with great results. But the hero of personalized videos is the reply inquiry video that goes in an email. So just today, for instance, I had an inquiry for the DIY program, came through basic information, name, email, phone number. So I drummed up, just pulled up the DIY unit, turned it on and recorded 30-second video that says, hi, Jimmy, thanks so much for your inquiry. I'm just about to go into a meeting. I thought I'd quickly send you this video. Go ahead and book in a 15-minute video chat using the link in the email because I'd love to learn more about XYZ business and provide you with exactly what you need. Thanks, Jimmy. And the piece de resistance here, let me just show you this for the YouTubers. I'll just show you this for the YouTube. Joel gets that as a thumbnail. Right? So that happens very quickly that happens in 5 minutes. So Joel has a very hard time not watching that video. How can you not click? Exactly right. And so the conversion on that is so amazing. And the process that we've built means that we're not picking up the phone, spending 4 hours to only lose a job. We're doing things at a time that's convenient to both of us and working this through. And I'm getting them into a process where I can control it a little bit and get them kicking along and verify them and et cetera and take them through. But that as a conversion tool from inquiry to booking that video call is 90%, 95% happens every time, and they do it within an hour. It's so quick.
Is that a clickable link? Is that
it's an image?
So was that also did you attach a video like an MP4 video to the email, or is it served somewhere? Because I know file sizes can get large, even if it's
look, it's always served. It's always served. I mean, very, very much, there's very few, I really don't see any video floating around that's attached as an attachment anymore. I really don't, it's like, it's usually a Dropbox or it's up there somewhere, right? And then we go and grab it. So, but the tool I'm talking about for your listeners, and I think this would be really great, have a look into it, but it's called Vidyard, and it allows you to do a plug into, say, Gmail or Outlook or whatever, and which means that you can open up your email to send an email, and you can click this little camera button and up pops, your webcam, or in this case, the DIY camera. And you go ahead and record it. And then once you finish recording, it's like populates with the thumbnail and the image and the play button and everything in the email ready to go. So that as a process streamlined. So how am I getting these reply inquiry videos out in 5 minutes with a predefined script, all the content of the client and a thumbnail? Vidyard has been a great tool for that. So that's pretty much all we use Vidyard for, but it's bloody, it takes a lot of the clicking and bits and pieces and uploading and, copy and pasting out of the process, which is exactly what we need. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Like in every couple months, there's something else that comes around and you're like, what? Where did you come from? How did,
yes.
Even just doing the transcriptions, doing transcriptions for video, that technology has expanded from when it first started as well. Like where they would always misspell my name. They still misspell my name, but that's all right.
Yeah.
But it's getting better and better to the point where you can read through it and you go, yep, there's no corrections there,
Yes. I mean, different platforms really doing different things, and when I talk about platforms, I'm talking about YouTube versus Wistia or Vidyard or some of these big hosting platforms. I mean, we have so many subscriptions going on because we kind of chip away at all these different tools that really make up and harness the business and keep it functional, operational. So it's not Vidyard all the way. It's like, for instance, in a proposal, we would send a personalized video, and that video usually goes just under 2 minutes, and it's done by my business partner Brandon, and he basically outlines everything to do with the proposal so that the opportunity is getting it firsthand in video form rather than waiting for a PDF and scrolling through and just going to the bottom and looking at the price. They're actually getting a walkthrough of what is in the proposal. Now that is, again, as a conversion tool, is unbelievable. Game changer. And this is the thing, to your point, we're not talking about, razzle dazzle videos. We're talking about videos that fundamentally help and nurture and Sherpa people through what is our process, right? These are to camera pieces, nothing fancy schmancy about them. Obviously we look and sound great, but that's our business. But that's the key, man, is like, just be helpful. And if you're video marketing in an inbound, externally out to YouTube or whatever, just be helpful. Don't dick around, keep it tight. Attention is scarce, give them what they want and you will be loved forever.
It's so important. What you are proselytizing is so important. And 99.9% of businesses out there don't do it. They don't do it. They don't get it because I think because maybe it's that thing of like just doing one thing, keep throwing it against the wall and seeing if eventually it will stick, right? Throw lots of money at marketing, throw lots of money at this social media thing, throw lots of money here and there. And these older traditional models, let's put a newspaper ad. No. When you're able to have a video also explain to potential customers and clients what it is that you actually do for them, then the conversion will be much higher. But so this is what we're saying today. We're telling everybody, get into videos, create videos, contact Chris, get because you have something too. You have different price points, I know, for people, but you have everything from sort of in that little bit of that do-it-yourself model to a full package will do everything for you kind of thing, right? Just tell us a little bit about the services that you offer there.
Yeah, so we're basically professional video marketing, and we've been doing that for almost 20 years. Highest rated video company in Australia, that is. But COVID was a divider for us. It really gave us an opportunity to explore the world of businesses investigating their own video marketing at not at such a big price point, right? So they wanted the convenience of having better quality video calls, video and email, like I said, and also being able to do their own social updates and whatnot without the pain of either pulling out their iPhone and trying to figure it out themselves, or getting a professional video marketing company to with all the expense that comes with that. And so the happy little neutral ground, or the happy medium, is this thing that we call the DIY video program. If you want to check it out, it's available for the world, and it's ridgefilms.com.au/DIY, and it'll give you a bit of insights as to how it works. But it's a combination of hardware. So what you're seeing now, if you're on YouTube looking at this, is the DIY. This is indicative of what our clients would look like. Background lighting, beautiful light, beautiful sound, great camera, teleprompter. You're not seeing the teleprompter right now because I'm looking through it, but I'm actually looking at you, by the way, in the teleprompter right now. So that's how I'm keeping my eye contact some of the time with you. But that's the hardware then helping you through all of those unknowns, script edits, on-camera training, how to get video and emails, all of the messy stuff that is associated with getting videos up onto the web, up onto YouTube. Really, it's endless amounts of things that our clients clearly don't know themselves. They may have some experience, but they can't get into a repeatable process. And that's what this requires. And we do it well because this is our business, all right? We do it every day of the week. But if you're a financial planner, like your core business is not producing videos, right? And so they might get like close to producing the video, but then, I've got to edit it now. How do I do it? And that opens up another can of worms, right? So we take care of all of that and just make it super silky smooth and streamlined for our clients so that they can just focus on their business and really just get the videos recorded and let us load up all that heavy stuff. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
It's in the editing where the magic really happens.
100%.
And because it's all about those transitions, those swipes, that music, all of that.
Yeah.
And knowing when to cut and knowing when not to. And you've been doing it for so many years too, that for you, it's easy and it's fun. You're passionate about it. So that's the other aspect that I love. And you know what, something too that I find I want to do personally, and I have to wrap my head around it, but I want to do more funny. I love humor. I love, life is so freaking serious. And it's just like, I find that videos that I watch the shorties that I watch, when they're really funny and really clever, I become hooked on them. I'm like, I want to make sure, I want to check out that person's Instagram page, all the time, because they're brilliant. They're funny. And they're going to actually attract just a much wider audience than if you're just, hi, I'm selling, insurance, blah, blah, blah. Have you had your fair share of really funny videos that you created?
Yeah, of course. Like we do it every once in a while for our own business because we suffer like everybody else from this kind of like corporate dryness, right? And just been sort of like, here's another podcast that we produced and here's another, what I mean? We have a process in our back end that kind of does that really well. But if we don't throw a spanner in there every once in a while and do a SodaStream dad hack video or something like that, or a funny Christmas video or something like that, it becomes kind of stale and boring. Now, that's easier said than done. I think there's a lot of people that, the viral mentality, I guess, of people, would be like, oh, that's exactly what our business needs. But the reality is, and I have this firm belief that communication beats creativity. Communication, if you can't communicate, you're wasting your time trying to be like creative, right? It's going to lead to nowhere, right? So you still would be better to produce a kick-ass company profile video if you're starting from zero than to try and do something funny that misses the mark, right? That doesn't communicate correctly and is not something that you can leverage, right? We're talking about, in the world, in our world at least, the leverage point on a dollar spend of our client. You know, if they're going to spend $5K on a video for a company profile video, then they need at least 3 social versions of that, right? They need things that they can turn into ads. We want to extend the lifespan and ROI of content, not just go, all right, there you go, there's your video, see you later. You know, we want to help them, you know, we want to diversify and get them to understand that this is about, you know, not one play on your website. Oh, I put an email out about it. You know, this is about constant advocacy, right? Like, this is about talking about it and telling the world you have video, you know, hurrah, and continually doing it until someone says, shut up, will you shut up, right? Repeat it. So recycle, repurpose, repeat, reuse.
Repurpose, recycle, reuse. Yes. And don't just
keep everything.
Don't just keep it a secret on your website. You know, don't just do,
that's right.
Don't just do that. And it always depends, of course, the industry depends on what business you're in, right? But like on some industries where it is kind of serious, I do like to see bloopers. I do like to see. My wife is a real estate agent, and we're talking about it's a very serious business because we're talking about people's assets, and their largest asset that they have is their home, and it's very serious. But man, I love watching the bloopers on what she's done, because she's human, and we like to connect with humans.
100%. And that's why testimonials are so like big, right? Because people are just real, and they're raw, and they're rugged, and they're saying it how they should, you know. But yeah, I agree. The point I guess around the bloopers is about rewarding, right? So you don't let the bloopers get in the way of the communication. So that's like rule 1, don't break it, right? Because I've seen like a property research group, you know, had sent their Christmas video out once, and they're like, okay, the first 30 seconds was like, here's our corporate message. Thanks for being such great customers, blah, blah, blah. And then the next minute after that was them doing their bloopers, and it was shit. Right? I like bloopers, but in moderation, right? So it was long, it was drawn out, and it just put such a bad taste in my mouth, because I went, oh, now this is all about them. This is all about them joking around and being dickheads. This is not about me and thanking me for doing business with me. This is about them now. And so you've got to keep it in moderation. And the perfect placement for those bloopers is very much just these short microsecond edits at the end of the video. Snip, 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 out. Just reward. That's the reward they get for watching the video.
Yeah, that's like watching like an action-packed movie, or when you watch a really cool movie. Yeah. And at the end, with the credits are going up, and then you see it'll be like somebody with the clapboard, and it'll be somebody gets or some silly little or a line that was not featured in the film. You know, like some kind of scene that wasn't featured in the film. So
they're doing that over a 90-minute feature, right? They'll put their bloopers in, and maybe they go for a minute, right? If you're showing a minute video, you don't have a minute of bloopers to kind of like include in there, right? You gotta keep it to the point. You know, the agenda of the viewer to open that video, watch the video, immediately know what's going to happen to them when they watch the video, then get to the end, be rewarded, conclude, get out, okay, next action, right? That's, you're moving them through time, right? Now, if you can't get them to the end of the video, it's not as good as you think it is, right? So you need to almost thank them at the start of the video, thank them at the end of the video, and then tell them what's got to happen next. And if you can't do that, you're not video marketing well enough.
Everybody should be calling you right now. Your phone should be ringing off the hook. Okay.
Oh, hang on a second.
No, because my brain is like sitting there going, the purposes, the multi-purpose, the uses for video that people can be doing right now. Like they can actually 100%. Be doing this right now. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is we'll make sure that in the show notes, of course, we include the main link to Ridge Films. It's ridgefilms.com.au. That is going to be in the show notes, but also we'll put a link to the DIY, the do-it-yourself program, right? We'll make sure we have a link for that. But let's put a challenge out to people right now. Let's, if you haven't done video at all, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are in business, and they don't understand why people aren't calling them, why they're not booking, well, because people don't know what the hell you do. So let's put a challenge out there. And let's encourage people to start even thinking about creating video and just getting on camera, trying to get your little confidence up and explaining what it is that you do. But go to ridgefilms.com.au/DIY and jump into it and get started.
Yeah.
And if you have a major project or you have a major business and you need the professionals to take you from start to finish and let them do it, let Chris and his team do it, then just contact you. Because I know you do all different kinds of videos and different kinds of work for people. So I highly encourage it. This is great for consultants, for coaches. I need to do it. For authors. You got a book that's coming out. Don't just send a boring press release out. Don't.
100%. Yeah.
That's right. My goodness. Where have you been all my life, Chris?
It's funny because we put out videos every week, right? And lots of video, right? Like in terms of out to the public domain. We're a micro business in Sydney, Australia, and we service Australia and we service the world, right? If you need us, we're there for you, right? We have crews all over the world that we can tee up for you. With all of that activity, you would think that there would be, we'd be like a multi-billion-dollar company right now. Business is tough, right? It's not about trying to just say, I'm going to try this next new thing. It's called TikTok, or I'm going to try this next new thing. It's called video, and giving it a crack and then walking away. Anybody that's invested in marketing or sales realizes that it is a long, long game. What is old to you is extremely new to them. What is been posted on your bloody profile for the last 18 months is just now is the time that they're ready to buy. Do you know what I mean? And that's how this crazy cycle of marketing works. But if you're not, activity creates activity. If you're not doing something and marketing and using video and finding useful ways to use video and be there, be present, be visually present, using your face all of the time, being out there. And maybe you're that type of person that goes, I don't want to be on camera. That's fine too. But there are solutions to work around that. But get yourself out there and you will reap the rewards.
Chris, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Christine.
And I would say that at this point, people, I've been convinced that video is the way to go. And do check out all of the work that Ridge Films does. You can go to the website, ridgefilms.com.au, and take a look at the sample video. That's what I did. I was like, let me just see how good they are. They are amazing. And maybe you'll get some ideas. Again, you'll get inspired. That's what the show is all about, to inspire you to not only to share your wisdom and your expertise with the world, but to do it in a way that people can actually find out about you and promote you and work with you, and everybody wins. You win, they win, the world wins. That's the best way to go. So thanks again, Chris.
You are very, very welcome. That's all for this episode of the Video Made Simple podcast. If you want to start on the path to become a video marketing professional, go to ridgefilms.com.au/learn. And for only $47, you get instant access to our online course, plus live coaching sessions with me every month. Let us help you take the mystery out of producing video. So go to ridgefilms.com.au/learn and see you next week.